Aging isn't about slowing down, it's about stepping into your power. Welcome to Don't Let the Old Lady In, the podcast where we challenge outdated beliefs about getting older and embrace wellness, self-love, and confidence. Your host is Lori Gardner, a registered nurse and nationally board-certified health and wellness coach, and she is your guide on this journey to vibrant, mindful living. Each episode will explore topics that nourish your mind, body, and spirit, and how to navigate health issues in the healthcare system as you age, so you can live with energy, purpose, and joy. Let's get started. Here's your host, Lori Gardner. Welcome back to Don't Let the Old Lady In podcast. In our last episode, we explored your inner healing power and how the doctor-patient relationship can either support or block it. Today, we're getting practical. Because here's the truth. Not all doctors are created equal. Some focus on symptoms, while others treat you as a whole person and a true partner. I'm Lori Gardner. I'm your registered nurse and health and wellness coach, and so excited to be back talking about this. I just think we can't empower ourselves enough with this information so that we can combine our own inner healing power, strength, and vitality with modern medicine and get the best outcomes. So how do you find the right doctor? And if surgery is ever on the table, how do you choose a surgeon you can truly trust? That's what today's episode is all about, a step-by-step process for finding doctors and specialists who support your whole person health. Why does this matter? Why does finding the right doctor matter, ladies? Well, think about it. Would you hire just anyone to manage your money, remodel your house, or teach your kids? Of course not. Yet too many people settle for doctors who rush them, dismiss their concerns, or treat them like a number instead of a person. Your doctor should be more than a provider. They should be a partner, someone who listens, respects your perspective, and helps you get to the root cause of illness. Finding the right doctor takes effort, but it pays off. You get better care, less frustration, and more confidence in your health journey. So what do we need to do this? Well, let's start by asking ourselves a few questions. What do I want in a doctor? Time, listening, focus on prevention, openness to mind, body, spirit practices? Do I need a primary care doctor or a specialist for a specific condition? Am I looking for someone who integrates conventional and complementary medicine? Having clarity makes it easier to find the right match from the beginning. So what do we have to do next, ladies? We got to research and look at referrals. Gather names from multiple sources. There's nothing like a good word of mouth. I don't care if you're talking about health, business, but word of mouth is a lot. Ask friends, family, or wellness communities. Another place you can look in professional directories. Functional medicine, integrative medicine, or board-certified specialists often list practitioners online. Always wise and essential to make sure any provider is listed in your insurance and coverage, and a lot of your insurances will provide lists of doctors and specialists that are covered. So I also recommend getting those, but also doing research beyond that list. Also, you can look at online reviews. They're not perfect, but they can give you clues about bedside manner and office efficiency. I do look these up for clients, but I really take it with a grain of salt because, if somebody's having a bad day and the doctor looked at them sideways, they might get a bad review. I'm exaggerating for sure, but I just kind of look at it overall. I don't put a ton of weight on it. I also, if I'm going to in-depth as an advocate, I will look online in PubMed, which is an area you can go look up articles and find out the authors and see who's at the top of their game, basically. So that's another reason I get hired, to help people recreate sometimes a new healthcare team, one that works for them. And you know what? Everybody's different. I actually had an obstetrician years ago that when somebody in my office, I worked in a business office, and they asked me who I'd recommend for an obstetrician. Knowing this woman and her personality, I didn't recommend mine because mine wasn't providing enough TLC. Like, I knew I didn't need it. I just wanted somebody with good metrics and a low C-section rate. I knew this girl would not be happy with this, the personality. He was a good doctor, but his personality didn't suit. So again, that's the importance of interviewing your doctors, because they got to suit you and you have to be compatible with them. So just remember, MD after somebody's name doesn't automatically mean that they're the right fit for you. When I was seeking a surgeon for my very complex pancreas surgery many years ago, I did all the above steps and I asked all the questions I'm going to go over in a few minutes. I interviewed 3 surgeons at 3 centers of excellence. I went deeper. When I talked about looking at peer-reviewed journals, I was immersed in it. I wanted to find out who the top surgeons were, what their results were, what their outcomes were, what their complication rates were, because I wanted the best. This is another reason you get a nurse advocate on your side. They can do that work for you, because it's a little stressful these times. I will not lie. But because I'd had so much experience as a nurse in a very critical acute care hospital, and I had some years under my belt and had some experience, I could do it for myself, but it's not recommended. I'm here to help you guys. So I also had insider information. Once you're a nurse, you're always a nurse, whether you're in the hospital or not. You can always find people, and I happen to know somebody at my favorite surgeons, my first choice. I knew the head of anesthesiology. So I thought, let me check in with her and see what, and he concurred that I had the best. So boy, does that put your heart at ease and mind. So next step, as I just mentioned, is asking the right questions. So your first appointment with a new provider, a new doctor, is like an interview. Here are some great questions you could ask. How much time do you usually spend with the patient, doctor? Do you focus on prevention and lifestyle, or mainly treatment? How do you view complementary practices like nutrition, meditation, and acupuncture? What is your philosophy on the doctor-patient relationship? And how do you communicate? What's your preference? Phone, email, patient portal? And what's your time in getting back to me? And what's next steps if I can't reach you? I could go through on and on and on questions, but that gives you an idea, doesn't it? So pay attention to how they respond. Do they listen? Do they respect your concerns or brush them off? That tells you almost as much as their answers, ladies. Next, assess motivation, resources, and fit. Dr. Wayne Jonas, who I mentioned last week in the podcast, has that great book, and he talks about healing and how it really depends not only on the doctor's expertise, but also on your motivation and resources. So ask yourself, do I feel comfortable with this doctor? Do they support my motivation to make changes? Do they respect my limitations with time, money, or energy? Do I leave feeling hopeful, understood, and clear about next steps? If the answer is no, keep looking. The right fit matters, so it's worth looking for a different doctor. So let's talk about when surgery's on the table. Literally, you're getting on a table. This is big. This is sometimes, despite our best efforts, surgery becomes part of the healing process. I always talk about mind, body, spirit, but you know what? There are times that surgery comes and you got to do it. So what's important? Choosing the right surgeon. As I'd mentioned before, for my pancreatic surgery, I hit the ground running, and I spent probably 2 full days getting my list, everything together. So that's how important it is. And the hospital is important too, because the surgeon can be fantastic. If he's not in a great hospital, your post-op care, recovery repair, nursing care, that could fall short. Let's leave it at that. So here's what to consider. Experience and volume really do matter, ladies. Surgeons who perform higher numbers of the same procedure generally have better outcomes. A surgeon doing 200, let's say, total knee replacements a year will likely have more skill than one doing a handful, or even 100 versus 200. Next, check complication rates and hospital safety. There's some great online resources. One is Medicare's Care Compare. It shows hospital complication readmission rates, really important. Also, the Leapfrog group shows and publishes hospital safety grades. I think it's from A to D, A being the best. U.S. News and World Report ranks hospitals by surgical specialties. Some states, like New York, publish surgeon-level outcomes for certain surgeries. I know there used to be, I think ProPublica used to actually publish surgeon grades and their complication rates, but I don't think they've updated it for several years. I don't think that's a reliable source anymore. It used to be my real go-to. Then when you see the surgeon on your visit, you can ask him directly or her directly, how many of these procedures do you perform each year? What's your complication rate compared to the national average? What are the most common risks and how are they managed? What will my recovery look like realistically? And are there any surgical alternatives? I will tell you, dealing a lot with the senior community, one question that doesn't get asked hardly ever is, and I've seen it, I've sat with clients, seniors, 80, 90 years old, sitting in a doctor's office when they recommend surgery, and they just look like a deer in headlights. It just sounds like too much, and nobody ever asks them or has the conversation or asks the doctor, so what would happen if we did nothing? Can we compare, if we do nothing, what that outcome looks like versus doing the surgery, and if it's a 50-50 shot at improved outcome, I need to do some little risk-benefit analysis here to decide if I really want to do it. So we have to remember, I remember always when I'm sitting with a client, of course the surgeon's responsible to say, I can do this surgery and get you this outcome, and you'll have no more pain, that kind of thing. But when I meet with my clients afterwards, I talk about everything. I said, well, let's digest it all and find out, did we ask that question? If we did ask the question, great. We find out what it is, and they decide what kind of quality life they want to have. I've had plenty of people decide they want to maintain a low to moderate level of pain rather than go through a surgery that's a little risky and not a potential like 100% great outcome. They're just not willing to do it. That's a personal choice, and it's okay. The next thing you want to do is look at hospital or surgery center. You know, even great surgeons are limited by the facility they work in, like I just mentioned. So that's important. Check your hospital's infection rate. Check the nursing staff quality and whether specialists are available if complications arise. Really important. And again, pay attention to the relationship. The best surgeons explain things clearly, take time with your questions, and never pressure you. If you feel dismissed or rushed, that's a sign to get a second opinion. And often, ladies, just know your insurance company very frequently will require, not all, but will require a second opinion. And I've been in situations with clients where the doctor actually gets all huffed, upset that a second opinion was obtained. To me, it's not a great doc. So again, surgery is a partnership. You deserve skill, safety, and respect. So build a team. Just build a team, not just a doctor. Healing is rarely one-dimensional. Often you'll need a care team, a primary doctor, maybe a specialist, perhaps a therapist or a coach or an advocate like myself. Think of yourself as the leader of your own care team. Your role isn't to please your providers. It's to find the ones who will walk with you on your healing path. And remember, that's what I do with my clients. I empower them. I don't want them to have to pay me forever. I'm there to teach them what I'm teaching you on these podcasts. And so my success is when I know that I've navigated a healthcare crisis for a client, they've learned a lot, and they actually have enough to potentially do it themselves the next time. So this is all about building your mindset as a leader of your own healthcare, CEO of your health, right? You're the CEO of your health. Create the team that supports you, that works for you, and you will be in way better shape and have way better outcomes. So here's the bottom line, ladies. Finding the right doctor or surgeon does take some patience, research, and courage, but the reward is worth it. A partner who sees you as a whole person and helps unlock the body's natural healing power. So here's your challenge. Before your next doctor or specialist visit, make a short list of what you want in your ideal provider. Then use these questions we've covered today. And if surgery is ever recommended, remember, you have every right to ask about experience, complication rates, and options. I thank you so much for joining me. Don't let the old lady in. Make sure we are proud of our age and we don't mind getting older, but we don't want to let that old lady in who tends to be less empowered, fearful, scared, not going for it, not doing the strong alternative and nutritional and dietary things that are required to keep the old lady out. I want to see you do that because that's where you start your own inner healing journey. So until next time, where we'll talk about how to navigate and take this health journey even further. So until next time, take care of your one and wild precious life, ladies. You're stronger than you think. Keep shining that light out there. And that's a wrap on today's episode of Don't Let the Old Lady In. Remember, age is just a number. Your mindset, energy, and passion are what truly define you. If this episode spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with a friend. Subscribe and leave a review so we can continue this journey together. You are strong, vibrant, and unstoppable. Until next time, keep living boldly, loving yourself fully, and most importantly, don't let the old lady in.